Alright, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the Infiniti QX4 1999, and I have a unique symptom that this car has. I've had this symptom before, and so I pretty much know what the problem is, but let's take a look. So the symptom is very simple and it's kind of subtle because you can be driving down the road and all of a sudden you realize, hey, my steering wheel is kind of cocked at an angle here, but my car is going straight and I don't feel it pulling or anything. And then when you turn a corner to the right, you'll notice that your steering wheel straightens out and then it's fixed again. And so you're like, oh, that's kind of strange. And then you're just like, oh, I'll worry about it later type of thing. Until one day it gets worse and worse. And you're like, I gotta get this fixed. And so that's when you dig into it and find out what the problem is. So the real problem is, in my case, originally when this happened, I took a look at my rack and pinion rack gear underneath, and all the boots and everything were all tore up. And so my thought was, let's change the rack and pinion assembly. So when I did, I noticed that the bushings that hold the rack and pinion steering in it to the vehicle were completely wore out. And so in this situation that we're sitting today, all I need to do is replace the rack and pinion set bushings. Now the rack and pinion is pretty easy to change on this vehicle, comparing it to a Toyota Sienna. And I know my rack and pinion is good because I only changed it a couple years ago and the boots are still good on it. So today we are just going to change the bushings. First things first, park the vehicle in an area where you have room to work on it. We're going to jack the complete vehicle up. This time we're going to use jack stands, and we're going to block the back wheel. And I'll do that first. I've already set the parking brake on the vehicle. She's parked, and I'm going to jack up both sides, one side at a time, place the jack stands, and secure the vehicle. If you don't know where to place the jack stands or the jack, please open up your operator's manual, and it outlines in the operator's manual where to place everything. Okay, safety glasses. We're going to be crawling underneath the vehicle, so make sure you have your safety glasses on. We've got the wheel blocked. We've got the parking brake set. We've got the jack stands in place on both sides. I've got the jack still underneath the vehicle on the other side as a third safety measure, but we have the jack stand in place with the weight on the jack stand. So, all right, let's get started. Okay, I'm underneath the vehicle comfortably. Make sure I don't get too comfortable. I'll fall asleep and take a nap. Anyways, right underneath here, excuse me, you can see the rack gear, and it actually steers your wheels. We're not going to be disconnecting any of this because the problem lies right here. Let me get my flashlight. So there's where one of the bushings goes, and as you can see, it's partially disintegrated. And the reason it is disintegrated is because of this darn oil filter and the placement of the oil filter. And whenever I change the oil, it just like drips on this area, and over time it just kind of deteriorated the bushing. And so this whole rack gear is held to the frame by two clamps. You can see the, hold on a second, phone's in the way. So there's a clamp that holds the bushing in right there, and then there's another another one right here. This one is actually just holding it in place. This one over here actually holds it so it doesn't move side to side. And it's this one that the bushing needs replaced, but I'm going to replace both bushings. And then, yeah, I know, look at all the oil dripping. This vehicle's old. It's a 99. It's got some oil leaks. We're living with it. So, alright, let's get this job done. First things first, this guy has to come off because it's right in the way. So 4 bolts. I believe they're 12 millimeter. We'll find out here in a second. Let's get that thing zipped off. Let's get this one bracket off over here. I'm gonna do one bracket at a time. I might loosen this one up, take this bracket off, take the bushing out, put the new one in, put the bracket back on. You kind of get the drift. All right, correction on the bracket. It's a 14 millimeter socket instead of a 12. Alright, bracket is off. Pretty easy to get off. I didn't really need my impact wrench, but I like playing with it. Anyways, playing with my impact wrench. Come on, people. Alright, hold on. Okay. Next is a 22 millimeter socket to take the bolts off for this side. I'm going to use my ratchet in this case because the top one, which is just below the filter, I'll need an extension. Okay, so I put a 3-inch extension on it. As you can see, the socket is in place with my 3-inch extension, and my ratchet fits right up in there. Okay. Let's take this thing off. Easier said than done, huh? So before I take this bushing out, I need to kind of just pull it out just a little bit. So in order to do that, I'm loosening up this one. I'm not taking it off, I'm just loosening it up. And then I'm loosening up the top one also. So it gives me a little bit of movement. So before I take this bushing out, I need to kind of just pull it out just a little bit. So in order to do that, I'm loosening up this one. I'm not taking it off, I'm just loosening it up. And then I'm loosening up the top one also. So it gives me a little bit of movement. And I got them loosened up, and if you can see that I now have the movement that I need. Alright, just pulled it out. I just pulled it straight out. And as you can see, she's toast. Oh, by the way, you're gonna get your hands dirty. If you don't want to get your hands dirty, don't sign up for the job. So, yeah. Let me just wipe it off a little bit. The new one's going to be kind of fun to snake back in there, but note that the bracket has a unique shape, and so make sure that dimple on the bushing lines up the way the bracket fits in there. So I have to be quite honest, the biggest pain for me right now with this job is I only use jack stands. I wish I had put it up on ramps instead, because I'm really not benefiting from the wheels being off the ground in this situation. And I was hoping that if I kept my front wheels off the ground, I could kind of move my tires right and left as needed to fit this bushing in here, but that doesn't seem to be the case, or a problem for me. But right now I'm having to crick my neck, and it's killing me. But anyways, so here's a technique that I'm using to line this up, because it's a little bit of a pain to line it up. So I pretty much just kind of have the bushing out like that, and I have my half-inch drive ratchet under here, and I kind of pull it up from the side, and I just am kind of fishing. I'm just pushing it in a little bit farther, and then I wrap it up to see where this dimple lines up. It seems to be fairly easy to do it that way. And right now I believe I have it in a position to where it lines up nicely. So we can see up in here that it's fitting on the hump nicely, I believe. I'll work it a little bit more. I think I have to push it in just a little bit more. I got it to where I wanted it, and now I've fished the bracket back up in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start the bolts on both the top and the bottom, and then I'm going to tackle the other side. All right, the other side much easier. Bracket comes off pretty easy. Looks like the bushing, although my hands are very slippery right now because they're full of oil, the bushing should come out of there pretty easy. Yep, just like that. This one, not too bad a shape. Of course, there's not too much pressure on it, other than this one just holds the rack gear in place. The other one gets most of the pressure, but we're changing it anyways because I've got both bushings. Oh gosh, this one took literally 30 seconds to replace. So if you want to do this side first, you can probably kind of get the gist of how it's done. Super easy. All right, let me get these bolts back in and call it a day. So as I'm buttoning this thing up, I have to tell you all, there is a mosquito underneath this car that has waged World War III on me right now, and he is tearing me to pieces. So that's something that you can't experience on a video, but I thought I would just share. Okay, bushings replaced, both sides. Bracket back on, bushing brackets in place, securely tightened, job complete. I'm gonna crawl out from underneath this vehicle. Say adios to this darn mosquito. All right, the vehicle is back onto the ground. Let's check the steering wheel out. So now when I pull it, it springs right back into place. Oh yeah, nice. So now we know that the rat gear is not moving on us down there. So, all right guys and gals. So at this point in time, about $30 or something like that. These bushings were not that expensive. They were, well, they were $18.99. So, yeah, not that bad. And an hour's worth of labor of your time. So you can stop playing fantasy football for a couple seconds, change these bad boys, and get back on your way. I'm not sure what a dealer or an auto mechanic would have charged you to do this job. My guess is at least $200. Anyways, I'll catch you on the next video.